Hey, so after turning on the sprinklers for the first time this year, I found out that I wasn't getting the water pressure I should have, and found where a water sprinkler was broken. As you can see here, I've already started digging into it. I found out where the problem was, found out that I couldn't just unscrew anything and that I have to replace that whole T. And so what I did was dug up a section long enough the pipe so that I'll have room to work, and then I got these cutters right here so that I could cut the pipe nice and clean. I'll cut off this section, take it to the store, and get the parts that I need, including primer and glue. Well, before heading to the store, I thought I'd take a look around and see if there are any other places that might need some repair. And I found this wet spot, this wet circle here, indicating that I had a broken sprinkler. So I dug it up, and you can see again the top of the sprinkler head is gone, and so I'll need to dig that up and get parts for it as well. When using cutters like this on like this right here on an old pipe, make sure you're not trying to just squish through it. What you're going to do is place your cutter into position, right? And then you're going to run the blade back and forth, kind of like a sawing. Reason for this is because a pipe that's been in the ground is old, right? And so it's brittle. And if you just try to force through it, you're going to break it and not get a clean cut. All right. One of the things I wanted to mention is make sure you've got a bucket of water close by and a towel, a rag. So as you start working with the materials, you can keep the area clean. You want to make sure you're going to avoid getting any dirt on any ends that you're going to glue. Cut through both ends. You see I've got a couple of nice clean cuts, plenty of room to work with. And now I'll take my pieces to the store and get the supplies I need.
Tools just came off of the web from Home Depot. Range of cutting tools available. I found that having one of the wire saws is an absolute must.
Alright, so here's all the parts that I need to make the repair. So I just took in my old piece here and took a look at, and first off determined how high my new sprinkler had to be from here so that it's set at the right height in the ground. So you want to measure that and make sure you have that measurement with you so that when you come to get one of these sprinkler heads that you're getting the right height, because they could be a 2-inch, it might be a 4-inch, and the same thing here. This is a little riser that's going to be used to connect the sprinkler head into the bushing that goes into this coupling here that's threaded. All right, when you're in the store, put everything together. Make sure that you have got it put together right. Okay, bring in your old pieces, check them to your new pieces, get a little extra pipe than what you think you need. The nice thing is these pipes, you can often find them in small sections. You don't have to buy a 10-foot piece. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pieces here over to where the repair is needed, and I'm going to dry fit them. In other words, I'm going to put them all together, make sure that everything fits, got the right heights and everything else, and then I'll start marking where my cuts go. I like to make sure that all my fittings have at least the pipe going into it at least halfway in. I try to snug it up as tight too. Inside each one of these, you can see there's a little ridge there. I like it to go right up against that ridge if possible. It doesn't have to. Manufacturers say get at least a third of the way in, but I would push for getting at very least half to 3/4 of it. So I don't know if you can see this cut here very well, but I didn't do a very good job, and the reason why is because I kind of rushed through it a little bit. And what I should be doing is when I take this tool, the cutter, and put it around the pipe, need to take and circle it all the way around, not just squeeze onto it. Let me show you. So you can see I'm going to put the red part and the non-cutting part onto the bottom. It's open nice and wide. And the other thing I want you to notice is I've got my pipe lifted up off the ground a little bit, so I don't have to hold on to it, but I have room to work. So I'm just going to barely take and squeeze down. I'm not trying to cut. I'm not trying to push my way through the plastic, but instead I want to take and score this pipe all the way around. Now, it's a little tough doing it with one hand, and then I'm going to lift up high enough and rotate my cutter all the way around. Again, I want to score the whole thing. I'm not trying to force my way. Alright, that cut is cleaner. And now I'm going to use my rag, wipe off a couple inches of the end, and then I'm going to take my knife and deburr the inside and outside. Alright, that's a nice clean enough. If it's, if you used a hacksaw or a cable cutter and it's a real mess, you can also, there's good sandpaper that you can take and use it to knock down all the rough ends. Because these are threaded pieces, there's no reason to apply glue. You're going to take and put some plumber's tape on it and wrap it in a clockwise direction. I want to make sure that when I've set it into its assembly here, that once I connect it into the pipes, that it's already in position and I don't have to make any changes. Now, it's no big deal if you do have to make changes, but I want to snug it up to the point where it's tight and it's adjusted the way it needs to be. Alright, because this pipe's going to be underground, I'm not going to be too worried about how neat I am when I take and put my primer on. If I'm doing an installation where it's going to be really visible, then I'm going to be really careful about it because I like it to look really neat. So you notice I'm going around several times, just putting in a nice coat, a good inch and a half, because I know how far it needs to go in with my coupling. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for the receiving end. All right, so this end here, it's going to be connected to. Even though it's a new piece, still just a nice little light coat. I don't want dripping. All right, I don't want to mess. And that's it for the primer. Next step is I'm going to apply the glue. All right, so the glue, you don't want to, put a whole bunch onto it. Take and, dab off your applicator there. Run the brush just on the inside, a couple swirls. All right, you don't want a bunch of it going all over the place. Same thing, movement around the pipe. That's it. When you put in, always go for a half turn. Get it as tight as you can. Go up to the position that you want. Make sure it's setting flat and flush, and that's it. Yeah, you're gonna leave it right there. And now we'll go on to setting the other piece of the pipe. Alright, I've pushed the coupling end over here as far as I could into the receiving pipe. And now I'm going to take and mark where my cut is. Notice how I'm pushing it down to be right flush with the receiving end. That's because I want to do everything I can to take out all the errors, right? I only have a little bit of room to play with, and I want to get it right the first time. Alright, you can see where I marked the pipe. I'm going to take it now and give that a cut right there. Alright, next I'm going to take this coupling end here and put it into the receiving end because that will be a whole lot easier to make the connection down on this side by the sprinkler, because I'll be able to lift the sprinkler up and all of this pipe up in order to allow me to get a nice tight fit going in. All right, I've primered both ends. I'm going to apply glue first to the inside, the female end. Again, just making sure that I don't get too much. All right, the last thing to do before I bury the pipe is give it a little bit of time for the glue to cure. Turn the water on, check to make sure that there's no leaks. Everything's tight.